Steve, I don't know if you saw this yesterday, but Jimmy Haslam met with the media on the field at Cleveland Browns training camp and said something that has triggered a lot of people. Let's play Jimmy Haslam talking about Shedeur Sanders in the NFL draft. Let's play shot number 3.
If you'd have told me, let's see, we picked him on Saturday, right? Friday night driving home, y'all are going to pick Shedeur, I would say that's not happening. But we had a conversation early that morning, and then we had a conversation later that day. I think we had the right people involved in the conversation. At the end of the day, that's Andrew Berry's call. Andrew made the call to pick Shedeur. Just like who's going to start or what play we're going to call is Kevin's call. But that's Andrew's call. He made the call.
All right, so that was aggregated over social media. It's like, holy cow, how dare he say this about Shedeur Sanders? And he's pointing a finger at Andrew Berry. And, Shedeur. Louis Riddick went on ESPN either today or yesterday and said that Shedeur Sanders is skating uphill. And let's play, before me and you respond to this, let's play Louis Riddick over at ESPN, someone who I like most of the time, but here he is evaluating Jimmy Haslam's comment. Let's play shot 10.
If you're Shedeur Sanders and you're sitting wherever you're sitting in the dorm rooms in Berea, like that I slept in when I played for the Browns too during training camp, and you're watching or you're watching the news and you're seeing the owners sit there and go, no, well, as of Friday night, they weren't even thinking about me. And then they had a meeting and the right people were in there and they wound up drafting me. I'm sitting here going, man, am I really at the right place here? Do I have people that are all rooting for me that want to make this competition here really fair and equitable? They want to make it an organic competition? Or are there ultimately going to be some people who are saying, I didn't want this guy. And so they're not going to support me in those personnel meetings that I was a part of for 8-9 years. And I know how people can get personal with those things in those meetings. This was not a real good interview in my estimation because it doesn't help the player at all. And quite honestly, it doesn't help the opinions that we have about how Cleveland goes about doing business. It doesn't at all to me.
Steve, I'm going to let you fire first. Your reaction to all of that.
I'm going to tell you this again. Shedeur Sanders is the biggest story of the NFL preseason. I cannot wait to watch the Browns. I'm going to go to NFL.com. I'm going to watch and look for the dates of every Brown game, and I'll be watching intently. But also, this is why, and me and you have talked about this, why many franchises shied away. They don't want the discourse. They don't want the circus. They don't want the distractions. I've never seen so much more attention paid to maybe the second or third string quarterback drafted in the 5th round as compared to the number 1 pick overall that plays the same position. It's actually astounding, right? And by the way, I think it's the best thing to happen to Cam Ward. The other thing is, why are people getting so emotional about it? Honestly, this is a backup. And finally, Jason, I don't believe Haslam. I think that whole thing was about, I made the point to make sure that we picked him. I overruled my GM, who obviously did not like the pick, and now this is all spin and cover.
Totally disagree with you on the latter half of your comments there. Louis Riddick talking about fair and equitable. Is it a fair and equitable competition? Okay. Louis Riddick knows the National Football League, knows professional sports. They're not talking fair and equitable in any NFL locker room. First-round picks get more chances than a 5th-round pick. Second-round picks get more chances than a 5th-round pick. Third-round picks get more chances. Everybody knows this. And so this whole, is this a fair and equitable competition? Louis Riddick, who I'm telling you, a lot of times I like. But Louis, if you're wondering why you can't land that general manager's job you've been looking for, it's comments like this. You're illogical, and you're in the discussion about Shedeur Sanders. And I know that you have already referenced this before, but you need to reference it every time. so that people know where you're coming from. There's going to be a fair and equitable conversation about Shedeur Sanders, and Louis Riddick is going to participate in it. Hey, I'm friends with Deion Sanders. I root for Deion Sanders. I talk to Deion Sanders. I'm rooting for Shedeur Sanders. And so take my opinion with a grain of salt. And you know how I know that's how you got to do it? Because when Jeff George was at the peak of his NFL career, Jeff George and I grew up. I love the guy. I love his family. We grew up together. We won a state championship together. We got all kinds of high school memories, adult memories, whatever. And so anytime I wrote about or talked about him, I reminded people, just remember, this guy I'm about to talk about, I actually love. He's up here on my wall, next to John Elway, and he didn't have John Elway's career. Just take what I'm about to say. This is what I believe, but just remember, I love Jeff George. I love his family. His mother, Judy's one of the greatest human beings I've ever met. His father, Dave. Anyway, you gotta do that. And so here's the other thing that I don't think ESPN or Louis Riddick have done that I did. I'm not sure if you did it either, and I'm not calling you out for it. But I heard these comments and I said, well, let me go hear the questions. Because without the questions, it's hard to understand the answer. And so when I went to go hear the questions, and I'm not going to play it for you here because we didn't pull it because they're outdoors, the reporters don't have microphones, and so I had to hold my phone up or my laptop up to my ear to make out what the questions were. And so it's not good sound quality, but he was asked two questions back to back. The first one was, hey, Jimmy, this is the first time we get to talk to you since the NFL draft. What went into, taking Shedeur in the fifth round or something along those lines. And his initial response was, hey, man, that's a question that's better asked towards Andrew, talking about Andrew Berry, the general manager. And he says, we thought he had great value at pick 146. I believe he misspoke and Shedeur was pick 144. But that was his initial answer. And what's more likely, and I'm just keeping it all the way real because that's what we do on this show, Steve. What's more likely that the black general manager of the Cleveland Browns said, hey, I'm going to do what black Twitter wants me to do, and I'm going to take Shedeur Sanders?
Okay.
Is that more probable than Jimmy Haslam coming in, hey, we got to take this kid in the fifth round?
Well, okay.
If Jimmy Haslam's going to, maybe, yeah.
If he wanted to help out the brother man and not the other man, he wouldn't have taken Dylan Gabriels in the third round. He would have taken Shedeur.
Steve, no, Steve, you're trying to muddy up the waters with listen.
I didn't realize Jimmy Haslam was this great owner. I've got a whole new perspective.
I'm not calling him a great owner. I'm calling him a guy
he's a liar is what he is. He's a liar is what he is.
He's touched the fire on the oven, knows the fire's hot. He's been burned by his own dumb decisions. He's allowing Andrew Berry and allowing the system. He's learned lessons. But Steve, Andrew Berry, they have a scouting department. And they have a draft board, and they have quarterbacks ranked and whatever ranked. And the draft board, that one they put together and a bunch of other teams seemingly put together, said Gabriel Dillon is higher than Shedeur Sanders. And so we got to stick to the board. By the time they get to the fifth round, Andrew Berry can say, hey, look, day 3, let me take Shedeur Sanders. Let me pander to Deion. Let me pander to Black. And let me do what I believe. He perhaps believes that Shedeur Sanders is an NFL quality quarterback and potentially a starter. But this whole circus atmosphere, because what's really going on here, what's far more likely is that Andrew Berry and Jimmy Haslam and Kevin Stefanski, they're dealing with the Shedeur circus, and everybody can see, man, this was a mistake. We got a fifth-round pick quarterback that's driving all of the discussion about our team, and you got Deion and his son that are mad as hell that he's not getting first team reps and that he may get cut. And so Louis Riddick, Mel Kiper, social media, Black Twitter, we want to put it out there that Shedeur is skating uphill and that there's this whole white racism community, black racism community that's trying to keep Shedeur down. You know Jimmy Haslam's racist. He proved it when he gave Deshaun Watson $250 million guaranteed, despite all the massage sexual assault cases against him. That guy's racist. He would have never given a black, he did give Deshaun. That's what they're doing. They're building an excuse for Shedeur. If he gets cut, if he's third, fourth team, it's because the owner, the racist owner, he did this. That's what's going. That's far more likely than Jimmy Haslam lying about this. Like what you saw? Hit that like button, subscribe, and check out the full episode by clicking the link below.